Okay, so when I went to film school, one of the most important lessons I learned was that it's okay to have a favorite movie. It's okay to like things, but the most important thing when you're in film school, you do have to have a film school favorite movie. So, because I mean, all of us love Sharknado, like the Fourth Awakens. We all love that. We love like those kind of fun movies. But when you're in film school, you kind of need to have a more artsy film to say that is your favorite. And again, I'm not going to tell you to lie about your favorite, but find one of your favorites in your top 10 list that's a little more artsy, and that's the one that you should present as your favorite film in film school. Like for me personally, my favorite movies are The Addams Family, Josie and the Pussycats, Series of Unfortunate Events. But when I was in film school, I had to say my fourth favorite, which was Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Yes, it's one of my favorites, but do I like to enjoy it every Saturday afternoon? No, it's a little heavy, a little bit much to watch constantly. But that's one of those things where if you can share that with your classmates in film school, it does come across a little bit more artsy, a little more film-ish, and it does help you out a lot. So here's my list of the top 10 films that are really good to say are your favorites in film school. Number one, I have to go with my personal pick, which is Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This is a fantastic film in general. It is very enjoyable, has a great mystery, lots of twists, lots of turns, very well performed. And it is, on some level, for Oscars, it does have a certain Oscar-y kind of edge, lots of artsiness, and also it has a really well-written script. And anything by Fincher is going to be a very good choice for your film school favorite film. People love Fincher, especially in film school. So if you can't figure out what to go with, just say a Fincher film. But I personally said Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. That is why that's my number one pick is Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Also, if you do want to get yourself some extra kind of like film bro, artsy bro kind of thing, you can say your favorite is the Swedish version. I haven't finished it all the way through, I'm not going to lie, but if you want to, up the ante on your um, film bro vibes, then you can say the Swedish version. Number two. Number two on my list is Kill Bill Volume 2. Yes, this is actually a film someone said to me in film school was their favorite. Not Kill Bill the series, Kill Bill Volume 2, which honestly, it's a very good film still, but I just find it so odd that it was number two, not the first one. Either way, this is a good film to use as one of your film school favorites because people love to hear when you say Tarantino. Also, if you are putting Tarantino in your list of your top favorite movies, people are going to think you're different. You don't write scripts like other people. You write something a little out of the box. So you can say Kill Bill Volume 2 as one of your favorites. People will go, yeah, I can see that. I like that. Yes. Number three. Goodfellas. Goodfellas is one that I have not actually watched all the way through yet. I'm not going to lie to you. But it has some very good scenes that are very iconic and will be brought up a lot in film school. At least for mine it was. I know what you're thinking. Why don't I just say The Godfather? That's so much easier. Yes, but The Godfather's going to seem like you are trying to pick up everyone's favorite. Versus if you say Goodfellas, people are going to think, you're a little different. You're not like other filmmakers. Plus, it has that one long take scene that everybody talks about, which will come up in class. It came up in tons of my classes over and over again. The only thing that came up more in classes were the opening scene to Up. Literally, watched the opening scene to Up 8 times. In actual class. Number four. This was actually one of my personal backups for my favorite film school movie, Super 8. I love Super 8. I think it has a very good nostalgic feel for a time period that I wasn't even a part of. It really felt like childhood and also brought a certain level of growing up. It was a very good coming of age type film. I really enjoyed this and I thought it was very good one to show both cinematography and set design. A lot of people do know what you're talking about when you bring up this movie, but it is getting to the point where it is a little bit on the older side now. When I was in school, it had only been out for a couple of years, but now it's getting a little bit more that people go, yeah, I think I saw that back in the day. And so it looks like you're being more retrospective when picking a favorite. Also, it does just kind of give you like almost like a sci-fi edge, like if you are more into like sci-fi type things, but also still being artsy enough that they won't judge you for saying Super 8. I noticed that like if somebody said like Alien or Aliens, that was kind of like a conversation of like, oh, you're like the sci-fi guy, versus if you said, oh, Super 8, they're like, oh, you're like film, cinema. 5. Inception. Honestly, I think Inception's a really good film to be throwing out there. Inception's one of those ones where it was bizarre enough and confusing enough that a lot of people do say that as like their artsy favorite for film school. I know a lot of people are not overly pumped to watch it. I personally love it. I think it's a very fun watch. It has such a fun twist, lots of fun, interesting, like the ending's great. And also, if you do want to get yourself some extra art bro-y kind of like filmmakery credit, you can be like, I understood the ending. And people will go, yeah, me too, me too. And it opens like up a conversation about like script writing and things like that. Also, the cinematography is wild and like the special effects are wild. So that is a good choice. So if you want to show people that you're interested in things that aren't like other movies, you want something a little bit out of the box, but you're okay with CGI and you're okay with kind of like practical effects and moving sets and sceneries to get across the script. That's a good film for you to say is your favorite. So Inception's a pretty good one to bring up. Number 6. The Descendants. I think The Descendants is a good film, especially if you want to do like a drama slash comedy as one of your favorites. I think it's a very, very enjoyable movie. Honestly, out of all the films on this list, I do think it is a very fun ride to watch. It's different and it's not really what you'd expect. Also, this is a very character-driven type film, and when it was up for Oscars, there was a lot of buzz around the actors, and it brought a lot of credit to a lot of people who were kind of notable names but hadn't really been seen in this certain light. So it does kind of show certain actors in a different way. So if you want a favorite film that is kind of character-driven, that's kind of a piece on studying like human interactions, I think this is a very good film for this. Also, it is old enough now that it does kind of come across as like people might go, oh yeah, I remember that. I'll have to go rewatch it. Thanks for bringing it up. It's a good kind of suggestion for people, especially when you are in classes and you're talking about other more common movies. This could be one that you bring up and go, hey, go watch this again. It's a fun watch. And if you haven't seen it, it really is enjoyable. Number 7, Boyhood. This one I think is a very good choice for your favorite film school film because it is filmmaking. This movie itself took them so long to make, and it is so like universally different than other films that you would be very much a good choice to say that you like it a lot, because it is very much a good story about growing up. Would I say it's the best script in the world? I think that might be a different conversation, but it definitely is a fun filming feat. Like, it's one of those things where they did definitely have a really cool concept and they stuck to their guns. So honestly, I would say if you wanted to make this your favorite film school film, it would bring up a lot of conversations about innovation and innovative filmmaking, why we don't see more concepts like this, why we don't see people committing their time to making longer form content like this that takes up almost like a whole lifetime, well, or at least most of someone's life, all through Boyhood, essentially. 8. Midsommar. I think this is a very good choice if you are interested in like horror or anything along those lines. I think Midsommar is actually a phenomenal film. But when it comes to like artsy film bro type film school choices, a lot of people do not really want to say horror. Horror is considered lowbrow for some reason, which I get offended by because I'm a horror filmmaker. It's my favorite genre. I love it. I love doing something scary. I love doing something creepy. But if you do want your favorite to be some sort of horror, I think Midsommar you could get away with because it is something that shows different types of cinematography, just different types of lighting, and overall it has like a very different vibe than most horror movies. I know some people don't even consider it horror versus some people who really consider it horror. I personally just love it. I think it's just a phenomenal film and looks great. So this would be a really good choice for you to say like, hey, I like Midsommar, and then you could start conversations and that could lead into different topics, especially about the director and things like that, and performance-based type horror. Number 9, Room. Not The Room, Room. This is the one with Brie Larson. It's the one she actually won her Oscar for. It's a phenomenal film. Very well done. Very much character-based. Very much like a capsule type film. I think this is a good choice because it is very much about actual performances. And it is almost kind of it's enough mainstream so people will know what you're talking about, but also on some level it is kind of indie because it wasn't everybody's cup of tea. It's very heavy, very dark, but in a very like almost like lighthearted way. It's kind of hard to explain if you haven't seen it. So definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. But it could be a good choice because it has recognizable names, especially if anyone brings up like Captain Marvel or the Marvels. You can be like, oh, I liked Brie Larson from Before the Room or Before Room. And people can be like, talk about it, which honestly, I think that movie deserves more conversation. She's now being known as like Captain Marvel, but in reality, she's an Oscar award winner for a phenomenal performance. Like, I personally liked her from United States of Terra. Great show. Don't get me started. You guys want me to do a top 10 list of like best artsy shows you should say are your favorite in film school? Because United States of Terra, chef's kiss. Number 10, Gone Girl. This honestly is just a great film in general, and I don't want to put David Fincher on here too many times, but honestly, this film is such a well-written story, well-written script, overall so well performed, so much depth in each character, and it looks phenomenal. It also gives you a lot of insight for like romantic drama, romantic mystery, thriller, everything you'd want from a film you can really get from this. Also, I do think it was one of those movies that people do talk about a lot. So like if this is one of your favorites, this could open your door for a lot of conversations about film and also be more of a choice as far as expanding like both cinematography and like art and like as far as you get with character driven scripts and things like that. So this could be a very good film to use as one of your favorites. Plus, honestly, it's very enjoyable and it's honestly, you can rewatch it a million times and see so many details. Like I loved it so much that I read the book, and it's like, oh, such a fantastic story. So much depth to each of the characters. Anyway, that's my top 10 list of your favorite films for film school. I think this is a kind of fun list. Obviously, this video is somewhat tongue-in-cheek, a little bit of a joke, but honestly, these are real things that I had to go through in film school. There were a lot of people who were very, very much wanting to present a certain level of, like, they had a certain air they wanted to put on when they were in film school. I personally, again, I was not afraid to just go right out and say my favorite movies were, like, Josie and the Pussycats and stuff like that. But I know a lot of people I went to school with really needed some help maneuvering around what they should say for their favorite films. So honestly, I hope this can help you a little bit. But honestly, be true to yourself. Like what you like, be who you are. And again, this is somewhat of a joke, but I do think these are actually really good films that you should check out for sure. They could help you out a lot in film school because they probably will come up at some point. Anyway, if you like my top 10 lists about stuff for film school or just top 10 stuff for films in general, leave a comment down below what you'd like to see a list of next. And make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye!